Hello, welcome to banddirector.com. My name is Dr. Daren Schmidt. I'm a holistic doctor, and my practice is basically focused on nutrition and improving health, improving endurance, reducing stress, and reversing symptoms with whole food nutrition. So today I'm going to talk about physical and emotional stress for band directors and students. This applies to people no matter what their age. And physical and emotional stress can be reduced greatly by the types of food that you eat. So I'm going to go over exactly what that means. And first I'm going to go over a graph that shows you the consumption of food in the history of the consumption of food in this country. And when I show you this graph, you'll understand and you'll be able to make your own conclusions as to what food is good and what food is bad. So the consumption of food data starts way back in 1909, and the data that I've been able to find goes up to 1994 or 1998, depending on what food we're talking about specifically. And the amount of protein, there's only 3 macronutrients that exist in our diet. There's fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Fats and proteins come together in the form of meat. And then carbohydrates are everything else, and that includes vegetables, fruit, grains, and sugar. So let's just talk about fats and proteins first. We'll talk about carbohydrates third. So the amount of protein that we've been eating every day for the last 100 years has essentially remained the same. Because when you eat protein, your body gets full, and your body's happy, it gives you good energy, and you stop eating. Now regarding fats, there's several different kinds. There's animal fats, and there's cholesterol, there's saturated fat, there's new fats that are on the market like soybean oil, canola oil, mazola oil, the yellow oils that are in the clear bottles. The amount of saturated fat that we've been eating for the last 100 years has actually been steadily declining. The amount of cholesterol that we've been eating for the last 100 years has also been steadily declining. The amount of animal fats that we've been eating for the last 100 years has remained the same. Okay, so animal fats and cholesterol and saturated fat do not play a role in the amount of disease that has been increasing. The incidence of cancer has been increasing. The incidence of heart disease, diabetes has been increasing. Actually, from 1992 to 2002, the percentage of people with diabetes rose 49%. The percentage of obese people doubled in the last 15 years. So our society has been getting more and more ill, more cancer, more heart disease, more overweight, more diabetes. But we've been eating less and less cholesterol and saturated fat. We've been eating the same amount of animal fats and protein. So that's the story on fat and protein. And again, like that basically comes from meat. Now I'm going to talk about carbohydrates. So in 1909, the amount of sugar that we've been eating was about 5 or 6 pounds per person. Okay? And then around the late 1960s, it started to go up. And now it's 210 pounds per person per year. The amount of white flour, like white bread, white pasta, that we ate in 1909 was essentially zero. It wasn't really on the market at the time. And it has steadily increased, and now it's 200 pounds per person per year. So white flour and white sugar are very detrimental to our health. And as you can see with the increase of the consumption of white sugar and white flour, this is the main cause of disease. And what is disease? Disease is breakdown of tissue. And breakdown of tissue causes stress, physical stress and emotional stress. The one other thing that I wanted to mention, which I should have mentioned before, was that the yellow oils that you see in the clear bottles, like mazola oil, canola, also like Crisco oil, these fake fats that have been invented in the last 100 years, those have also steadily increased like this, and those cause disease. Hydrogenated fats and trans fats. When you look at the ingredients on a package of food, if you see hydrogenated or trans, those are fake fats, and those cause disease. Okay, so remember that white sugar and white flour have increased dramatically. And this next graph has to do with the white sugar and white flour entering into our bodies. So when white sugar and white flour enter into our bodies, that sugar goes into our bloodstream, and it's called blood sugar level. Okay, when you wake up in the morning, your blood sugar level should be 77. So let's say you wake up and you have breakfast at 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay, if you eat a breakfast that's really high in sugar or really high in refined grain products like cereal or a white bagel or toast from white bread, the amount of sugar that goes in your body goes up dramatically, and then it comes down dramatically. So then here, let's say it's only 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning, and your blood sugar goes too low, and now you're hungry again. Maybe you're a little shaky, maybe you're sweating a little bit, or you're tired and you want to put your head down on the desk. And then you get another shot of sugar. Let's say you drink a pop, or you have another bagel. Your blood sugar goes up again dramatically, and then your body works really hard to bring it back down to normalize this blood sugar level. So now it's lunchtime, and you have a sandwich with a pop, another pop, and then your blood sugar goes up again, and it goes down, and now it's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you go for another piece of junk food. The bottom line is, this roller coaster here is what is very damaging to the body. And when you're down here, you're tired, you're shaky, you're irritable, you're hungry. People don't like you, you don't like people, you're stressed out, and some people are prone to crying, or they're prone to fighting. Your emotions are unstable, and physically you feel really bad. When you're up here, you feel better, people like you, you like people, things work better, you have more endurance. But if you do this all day long over the course of months or years, people may do this for 50 years, and the end result is a complete breakdown of the body and disease, heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. So what you want to do is you want to eat foods that will start you off here, increase your blood sugar, and then slowly and steadily it's maintained, and then at noon, now you're hungry again. This is 5 hours, let's say. 5 or 6 hours of good energy, and then you have a good lunch. And then your blood sugar goes back up steadily, and then back down, and now it's dinner time. Okay, 6 o'clock. And now you're ready for a good meal. Your energy goes back up again, and it's steady. And then when you wake up in the morning, it's back down to here. So this is perfect health right here. If you do this, you maintain good health for decades. Alright, so band directors, just imagine if it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and your blood sugar is low, and your student's blood sugar is low, and you have a whole group of students and everybody is irritable, just imagine how unproductive that can be. You can have some infighting and irritability. So if you get everybody on board with a good diet, you can have a more productive practice session. And what are the foods that give you this? And what are the foods that give you this? Again, it's the white sugar and white flour that gives you this. And it's the non-junk food, non-white sugar, non-white flour foods that give you this, which I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, so I'm going to list here all the foods that exist on the planet. So first I'm going to write down meat, and you also have vegetables, and there's fruit. See, nuts and seeds, those are good for snacks. There's beans, there's dairy. Okay, on this side I'm going to list grains. Okay, there's a large category of grains. There's wheat, there's barley, oats, spelt. I could go on and on. Millet, rye. Okay, there's a lot of different grains. There's corn also. Okay, now in this side here, you can break this up into two categories. There's commercially raised meat, and there's organically raised meat. There's commercially raised vegetables, and there's organically raised vegetables. And this applies for every single one of these. The organically raised is better than the commercial raised. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. Now let's go to this side, the grains. This can also be broken down into two categories. There's the refined grains, and then there's the whole grains. The whole grains are what you find in nature, and they have a very short shelf life. The refined grains are processed, and the purpose of having a refined grain is to give it a long shelf life. That's the only purpose of refined grains. Refined grains have no nutrition in them. They're really high in sugar and carbohydrates. So again, there's refined barley, which is it's kind of hard to find, but there's whole barley. There's instant oatmeal, which is refined, and there's whole oatmeal, which takes like 20 minutes to cook. Okay? So all the way down the category, there's refined and whole. And also in the grain category, I'm going to put in sugar. Okay, there's refined sugar, and there's whole sugar. Okay, 90% of what Americans spend for food, 90% of the dollars spent on food are spent on only two of these foods. So 90% of dollars spent go to refined wheat and refined sugar. Okay, so when I tell you to start to cut back on refined wheat and refined sugar, just know that there's all these other foods on the planet to eat. Okay, so I see, many patients in a week, and when I tell people to avoid white wheat and white sugar, they ask me, well, what am I supposed to eat? Here's the answer. You eat everything else. So, like I showed in the previous graphs, we have refined sugar and refined wheat that are causing these hypoglycemic or low blood sugar dives. Okay, so when you're out, let's say it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right here, 4 p.m., it's after school, and your blood sugar is down here, and you're out in the heat, and you're sweating, and you get a little shaky. Some people think they need to be hydrated, which is part of the problem, and need to be able to drink enough water. But also, it's this low blood sugar situation. So to prevent that, you have to eat adequate amounts of fat and protein in the form of meat. And vegetables, fruit is a good snack. Nuts and seeds are a great snack. And when you eat this way, you have good endurance. So you can perform for a long time. You can wave your arms up in the air for a long time. You can play your instrument for a long time. You can hold a position for a long time when you have a good diet. When you're eating the wrong foods and your body's going like this, I had mentioned that you have a breakdown of tissues, like a breakdown of muscles, and joints start to hurt. You get achy joints. And oftentimes carpal tunnel syndrome is caused by this. More than 90% of the time, this will lead to carpal tunnel syndrome also. So the bottom line is to focus on this side of the sheet here: meat, vegetables, fruit, nuts and seeds, beans and dairy. And when you eat grains, make sure that they're whole grains: whole wheat, whole barley, whole oats, spelt, millet, rye. And to just avoid as much as you can the refined wheat products and the refined sugar, especially in white bread, white pasta, candies, cakes, cookies, and pop.